guys, you're watching And the Steel Mountain, both Sweden's and World's Strongest Man competitor. You are watching World's Strongest Fan, where all the crazy shit happens.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. First up, it's Strongman Tyson Morrissey lifting that Atlas stone weighing 150 kilos or 330 pounds. We now move into the bench press, and here is Andrew Cooper. He says, always pushing myself to the limit and beyond. Next up, someone else doing the bench press. This is champion powerlifter Tony Cliff, and he's pressing equipped. He says, a good consistent effort at this today. This video is probably the best press of the 3 reps I did. Not the quickest, but it was definitely nice and smooth. We now move out to Canada and we join Sam Beliveau. She says, I'm just taking some rust off of these implements. The weight of that circus dumbbell, 75 kilos or 165 pounds. It's a good technique and an easy press for Sam. Next up, it's Andy Black, who's also training dumbbell. He says, I'm really feeling burnt out from a lot of comps lately. Next up, we join Kyron Ford, who says, I got a lovely 160 kilo axle clean and press the other day. It's the first time going heavy on axle since my bicep injury. Congratulations to him. It must feel good to get back to lifting some good weights. Next up, it's Graciano Rubio, pressing 165.5 kilos or 365 pounds from the rack. Next up, it's someone else pressing from the rack. It's Big Ronnie. The weight on his bar, 170 kilos or 374 pounds. He's getting ready for this year's official Strongman Games and looking good for it. Now next up, and also pressing from the rack, it's Ivan Makarov. His weight also 170 kilos or 374 pounds with a hold at the top. Now here's a one motion log from Tyler Helm. The weight 140 kilos or 308 pounds. Next up, we join powerlifter Jamal Browner. He's squatting with 337.5 kilos or 744 pounds. Now next up, and also squatting, it's Jesus Olivares. The weight on his bar, 394.5 kilos or 870 pounds. We now move into the deadlift section, and he's back again. It's Tony Cliff, who says 315 kilos for 3 sets of 3 reps. It was like pulling through treacle. I really need some sleep. Next up, it's Ryan Bennett, England's Strongest Man 2022. He says, it's clear to see that my CNS isn't quite recovered yet. You can see by the shakes. Now next up, it's Tyson Morrissey. The weight on his bar, 320 kilos or 705 pounds for 3 reps. He says, today these felt heavy. Sometimes you're the lion and other times you're the lamb. Next up, it's Irvin Toitz of Estonia, who says, 340 kilos, snatch deadlift raw. I'm building up and I'm going to smash a big comp soon. Next up, we join Emmanuel Piscari. He says, the 340 kilos from last week was a good starting weight for my peaking phase. Speed off the floor is decent, although it could be slightly better. Next up, it's Jonathan Oldham, who says, this is not quite the weight I wanted, but training has been a little sparse in the last week. We're prepping for a new baby boy, so I'm trying to make the most of these last few training sessions. Next up, we join Pete Bremner out in Ireland, pulling 350 kilos or 771 pounds, and he rounds out the first half of today's video. Now we kick off the second part of today's video with more deadlifts. Here is Max Kleinwachter, who says, this is the strongest I've ever been, pulling 350 kilos or 771 pounds for 2 reps. Next up, it's Sam Salome, who says 352.5 kilo deadlift, it's a lifetime personal record. Next up, we join Luke Nall. He's pulling on an axle, and it's also a personal record for him. It's 353 kilos or 780 pounds. Next up, we join strongman Sean Logan, who says, "Here is 360 kilos for triples. I'm back in the suit as of next week to get ready for a max deadlift event at New Zealand's Strongest Man. What do you think I'll pull?" Now, following on from him, we join Mitchell Hooper. He says, "The work doesn't stop. I'm back into it with some doubles. The weight, 362 kilos or 798 pounds. Next up, it's Dr. Greg Inocencio, pulling on an axle from a height of 18 inches. He says, "This is beltless and suitless." Now, someone I've not seen for quite a while is Dimitar Savatinov, but it does look like he's coming back. Here is 375 kilos or 826 pounds. Next up, it's powerlifter Jamal Browner, working on a conventional stance for reps. The weight on the bar today, 380 kilos or 838 pounds. That's a serious amount of weight, especially for reps, and good to see him pulling conventional. Next up, we join Andreas Stolberg, pulling the heaviest deadlift of today's video. The weight on his bar, 390 kilos or 859 pounds, and it looked pretty comfortable. Now, next up, I've got some competition news. Here are your ladies for the under 64 kilo Arnold Strongman Classic UK. First up, representing Wales, it's Rhiannon Lovelace. Next up, and representing England, it's Shannon Smith. Following on from her, and representing Scotland, it's Ailey Grieg. Next up, we've got another athlete. This is Tatiana Cousins. She's representing England. Next up, and also representing Scotland, it's Sammy Mayhew. And rounding out the group, it's Charlotte Hayden of Scotland. So wishing all of those ladies all the best of luck. And also competing at that show, it's the strong women under 73 kilos. First up, it's Chloe Brennan, representing England, and she's gone up a weight category. Next up, it's Sarah Reynolds. She's there representing Ireland. Next up, it's Rachel Greathead. She's competing for England, and she's an awesome champion. Next up, it's Becky Noon, also competing for England. Following on from her, it's Kate Conley. She's also competing for England. And finally, it's Deezy McIntyre Wilson. She's representing Scotland, so congratulations and good luck to all of those women. And seeing us out today, it's Gavin Bilton, who said, "The last few months, I've been pushing really hard on my deadlift. Yes, I didn't hit 1,000 pounds at the Deadlift World Championships, but I can promise you this, that number will fall." Anyway guys, that's it from me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you again as always on the next one.